In my latest video, I've got 3 stories to share with you, and they're definitely worth talking about. First up, there's some news from Cointelegraph. The SEC has opened Franklin Templeton's XRP and Solana ETF proposals to public comment. While it's technically progress, it also feels like yet another delay, and I know that's been frustrating for the XRP community. Don't worry, I'll break it all down for you. And that's just the start. There's so much going on right now, and it's really exciting. Let's dive in together. Check this out. The Crypto Basic just dropped some exciting news. Canada's first XRP ETF is officially launching, and the trading date has been announced. That's right, the very first XRP ETF in North America goes live today. And there's more big news from CNBC. The Senate has passed a groundbreaking stablecoin bill, marking the first major legislative win for the crypto industry. Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse had some interesting thoughts to share on this, especially since Ripple launched their own stablecoin, RLUSD, back in December 2024. This could be a game changer for Ripple and the broader crypto space. Quick reminder though, I'm not a financial expert, and this isn't financial advice. Don't make any buying or selling decisions based on what I say. Always do your own research. So this isn't the first time we've seen a delay for an XRP ETF, right? Let's rewind to April 29th this year. CoinPD reported that the SEC had delayed its decision on the Franklin Templeton XRP ETF. Sherry Haywood, an assistant secretary at the SEC, announced that they were pushing the decision back. According to the filing, the new date was set for June 17th, 2025. Fast forward to yesterday, June 17th, which, yes, was a Tuesday. Something did happen. Maybe not exactly what we were hoping for, but hey, it's still progress. Technically, it all depends on how you see it, but here's the big news. The SEC has opened up public comments for Franklin Templeton's proposed XRP and Solana ETFs. That's right. The U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission is inviting feedback on these 2 cryptocurrency ETFs, which are set to be listed on the Chicago Board Options Exchange, CBOE BZX. Here's how it's playing out. On Tuesday, the SEC announced it's moving forward with proceedings that could allow the exchange to list and trade shares of the Franklin XRP ETF and Franklin Solana ETF. These ETFs were originally proposed in March, but the SEC delayed its decision in April, pushing the deadline to now. Important to note, this doesn't mean the SEC has made a decision yet. As they stated in their filings, starting proceedings doesn't signal any conclusions about the proposal. The commission is actually inviting and encouraging people to share their thoughts on the proposed rule change. And it's safe to say there's been no shortage of opinions. And for good reason, honestly. I think we've just gotten so used to the government coming down hard on XRP. I mean, just look at everything we've dealt with over the past 5 years. No other crypto community has gone through as much as the XRP community. So maybe we've built up some resilience, but I completely get the frustration. It's definitely understandable. I'm still not quite on board with the idea that we should have those kinds of expectations just yet. But honestly, it feels pretty clear that the so-called war on crypto is basically over now that Trump won the presidency. It's done. Think about all the lawsuits that have disappeared. Sure, there are still some loose ends to tie up, like the SEC and Ripple situation, but I'll dive deeper into that in another video. Stay tuned for more on that. There's been a ton of interesting developments lately, and I plan to break some of them down in detail soon. For now, though, here's a post from Francis Bovine Swift of the XRP community that I wanted to share with you. So, fun fact, this is the guy who created the XRP Rich List, which is an amazing website I use pretty often. He chimed in on this news and asked, why is the SEC dragging their feet on this? The comment window should have been open after the first delay. And it's the same old story with the SEC when it comes to XRP, right? I totally get why people are feeling frustrated. Honestly, I don't have an answer as to why the comment period wasn't opened after the first delay. You'd think it would be, unless there's some logical reason for the holdup. If there is, I'd love to hear it, because so far no one's explained it. It just seems like they didn't bother. That said, it doesn't mean the SEC is against XRP. Honestly, the whole war on crypto seems to be wrapping up at this point. XRP isn't being singled out or treated differently from other coins. This is the same kind of thing we're seeing with Solana and even other coins facing delays. So as the XRP community, I don't think we need to worry too much here. Sure, it's taking longer than we'd like, and I have no idea why, but there's no real reason to think there's any kind of targeted attack or hostile move against XRP specifically. I personally don't think that's going to happen, but hey, if it does, I'll be surprised. And when it does, we'll definitely have a great conversation about it as a community. Honestly, I'm an optimist here. Some of this stuff is just normal. It can take a while, and that's not necessarily unusual. If this were happening under the previous administration, I'd probably be way more skeptical. But with this administration, not so much. They've been so openly pro crypto that it's hard not to feel more confident. So here's the deal. The Cointelegraph article explains that the SEC is pushing back its decision on the Franklin Templeton ETFs by another 35 days, with the new deadline now set for July. While the SEC has already approved spot investment products for Bitcoin and Ether, a lot of companies are racing to be the first to get ETFs approved for tokens like XRP, Solana, and others. Basically, it's another delay. Sure, they call it a comment period, but let's be real. It's a delay. We're all just sitting here waiting for things to finally happen. That said, I'm still optimistic. I really believe we'll see multiple XRP ETFs get the green light eventually. For now, though, we're holding out hope for some good news later in July. Fingers crossed. Here's some exciting news. Canada is officially launching the first XRP ETF in North. Purpose Investments got the final green light and the trading date is set. They mentioned tomorrow in their announcement on Tuesday, which means it's happening today, Wednesday, the 18th. By the time you're watching this, it might already be live. Canada is making moves again. A Canadian asset manager is gearing up to launch the Purpose XRP ETF on June 8th. And honestly, it's putting some pressure on other regions. Yep, looking at you, United States. Got to hand it to Canada. ACA, America's hat. They've got it together more than we do on this front. But don't worry, we'll get there too. According to a press release, this new fund will trade on one of Canada's top stock exchanges, giving people an easy way to invest in XRP, the native token of the XRP ledger. And here's why that's a big deal. Anyone buying the Purpose XRP ETF is investing in something that's actually backed by real XRP. This is why it's so important. Over the years and decades ahead, as more of these opportunities open up as investment vehicles, more money will flow in. And that's going to make XRP even scarcer. That's what makes this such a big deal. In the long run, this could drive the price of XRP to levels we can't predict right now. Just keep in mind, it's not something that's going to happen overnight. Patience is key. And that's all I'm saying. So here's an exciting update. Purpose, the company that launched the first spot Bitcoin ETF back in 2021, is about to make waves again. They're set to launch North America's first XRP-focused spot exchange-traded fund. They got final approval just yesterday and will officially roll it out tomorrow. Yes, that's happening today. If you're a Ripple fan or an XRP holder, this is definitely something to smile about. In other big news, the crypto industry just scored a major win. The Senate passed the Genius Stablecoin Act, marking the first big piece of legislation for the crypto world. This bill sets up federal guidelines for US dollar pegged stablecoins and creates a regulated way for private companies to issue digital dollars with the federal government's stamp of approval. So I've got a question, and maybe you can help me out here. Am I hearing from Kim Jong-un, the former SEC leader, that everything was already super clear? No need for extra rules or regulations because apparently things were perfectly laid out. But if that's true, why does this even exist? If everything's so clear, we shouldn't need this, right? It couldn't possibly serve any real purpose. Gary Gensler also claimed everything was crystal clear, so is my son actually accomplish anything, right? Honestly, it's just laughable. It's wild to think anyone could look at the weak arguments from Gary Gensler or the previous administration and believe they were acting in good faith. They weren't just regulating, they were actively trying to crush an entire asset class and industry with no real justification. It's honestly such a joke. So the bill passed with a 68-30 vote. Big news for the crypto world. It's a huge milestone for an industry that poured about $250 million into the 2024 election cycle to help shape what's now being called the most pro-crypto Congress in U.S. history. It's also a win for former President Donald Trump's extensive digital asset ventures. The Genius Act, yep, is short for Guiding and Establishing National Innovation for U.S. Stablecoins, bit of a mouthful, right, is designed to protect consumers, promote responsible innovation, and keep the U.S. dollar on top. Senator Kirsten Gillibrand, a Democrat from New York and one of the bill's sponsors, summed it up nicely in her statement. This will safeguard consumers enable responsible innovation, and protect the dominance of the US dollar. Sure, there are still hurdles ahead in the Republican-controlled House, but the Senate's approval feels like a turning point, not just for crypto, but for the political momentum behind it. The Genius Act lays out some serious guardrails for the industry: full reserve backing, monthly audits, and anti-money laundering compliance. Sometimes all people need are clear rules to follow so they can move forward confidently, and that's exactly what's been missing in the crypto space for years. Companies like Ripple have been fighting for clarity forever, and now, finally, there's some big news on that front. All right, here's what Ripple's Brad Garlinghouse had to say about it. For years, crypto companies have been urging Congress to pass legislation and set clear guidelines. This is the first major financial bill since Dodd-Frank and the first crypto bill to pass in the Senate. It's a truly historic moment as it now moves to the House. Can you believe it took 16 years since the birth of crypto for Congress to take this step? But hey, progress is progress. Here we go. Finally, I'm just really happy this is happening. It's hard to say exactly how much more money is going to flow into this asset class, but one thing's for sure, it's going to be huge. After all, the US is the biggest capital market in the world. Take a look at what's been happening this year, especially with a XRP. Adoption has been booming, with tons of publicly traded companies actually buying XRP as a treasury reserve asset. Let's be real, that kind of progress wouldn't be happening if the election had gone another way. I couldn't be more excited about this, honestly. There's never been a better time to be involved in crypto, especially as an XRP holder. It's such an exciting moment. You just love to see it. Of course, there are still some steps ahead. It needs to get through the House, and the president still has to sign it. But let's be real, Trump is going to sign it. Fingers crossed, but I'm feeling super optimistic about where this is headed. By the way, just a quick reminder, I'm not a financial advisor. Please don't buy or sell anything just because of what I say or write. That would definitely not be a good idea. Always do your own research.